What's that? I forget.
When April's reading a note from him on the news.
Oh, right. And
goes,
he's thanking everybody. And yeah.
And I don't know what to say about the Vanilla Ice sequence. It's... Oh, and we have to go talk about your favorite part of the movie, the end.
The Vanilla Ice sequence is good for a little buffer in between what is about to happen. Now, Shredder, he's not letting the turtles go. That's never been his agenda. He needs to find out what they're about. He needs to put a stop to them. And so Shredder and the turtles have a horrible little fight scene atop of a speaker. And
he's got a vial of ooze.
He's got a tiny vial of ooze after Dr. What's-His-Face just ran off with the whole vial. And now he's propelled through the air by sound waves. If this sounds familiar, it's not because Back to the Future did it. Oh. But, so he's propelled through the air with the ooze. We don't know if he drinks it, if he accidentally falls in. Yeah. You know, he falls on his pocket and it broke.
Which, by the way, why is there a dance club
next to a junkyard?
On the dock. Like, I was too young back then. Was that a thing?
I guess maybe in the 90s, Vanilla Ice threw raves on docks for fun in New York City. That could have happened. I don't know.
If anybody was alive back then, you know, let us know. Was that a thing, or is that just
was that scene realistic?
Bullshit? Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so Shredder gets thrown out.
You know, we got the ooze, we got the Shredder, we know the ooze mutates people and things into big, gnarly monsters.
And he becomes...
And we get Super Shredder. Finally, one of the coolest things I've seen in both of these movies. Shredder was already awesome. Like, you can't take awesome and make it more awesome unless you're this movie.
Oh, yeah.
They make his blades all serrated. They're bigger.
His voice is
mutates
deeper.
his helmet and his armor.
Yeah, how does that work?
I guess, you know...
that is a little like, wait a minute.
And they give him, like, a legit Batman musculature bodysuit. He's all black. I mean, he only gets... What, like a minute or two on
maybe
screen?
2 minutes?
But as a kid, those 2 minutes made that whole movie. Like, I remember watching the whole movie and just being like, Super Shredder, Super Shredder, Super Shredder.
Wow.
And then you finally get him, and it's like, then it's over.
And you're like, aww.
And it's like they give you it's like eating an ice cream sundae, only they give you the cherry at the bottom. You know?
He is definitely terrifying. His voice is like enhanced, like whoa! I was freaked out when I saw it. Yeah.
Shredder utilizes his voice in both the movies. It's very booming. It's very demanding, and he uses very short sentences, if there's sentences at all. Usually 1 or 2 word demands. So. Seeing Super Shredder, definitely
one of
my favorite part of the movie.
Okay, awesome. Now, let's get into the negatives. And most of the negatives I have to... Some of the acting from the Foot Clan members, there's not too many, is awful. There's a freaking kid. He looks about 13 years old.
And he looks at the camera at one point,
yes!
too. He's like, there's like action going on over here, and he's supposed to be watching the action. You just see him go.
Yeah, and like a lot of the toughs, like there's a recruiting scene where Keno was trying to infiltrate the Foot Clan and some horrendous acting.
Oh my God!
I mean, even Ernie Reyes Jr. is the name of the kid who plays Keno.
Yeah.
His acting is not very good.
Not the best. You can't take a stuntman and put him in front of the camera and have him read lines and expect to have magic happen.
There's one of the recruiters who has like a big It looks like he's wearing lipstick. I was like, he's wearing lipstick, or he has big red lips.
Yeah,
I'm just like, Keno, you're the only one who seems to be worthy of a final challenge. It's just
the guy that April O'Neil is working with that's secretly in the Foot Clan is one of the biggest creepers ever. He looks like a serial killer in his free time.
Which, by the way, they kidnap April, and our master has a message for your friends. He takes his mask off. Why? Why would you do that?
Like, hey, guess what? It's been me the whole time.
No, it's for the audience, I guess, but it's still like that makes
in case your 8-year-old brain can't wrap around the idea that this guy is a double agent. Not that they didn't give him any like you knew it from the beginning. Even as a kid, I remember seeing that guy and be like, he's bad somehow.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna be bad in the,
but not in a good way. In a wow, you're a horrible actor kind of way.
Yeah, he looks like if I was to cast an all-out '80s horror flick, I would make him the sleeper. Like everybody knows he's the murderer, but he's trying to hide it from everybody. That's what I would make him in my film.
Also, Token Razor, they're okay, but I really want Bebop and Rocksteady. They could have done it back then. That's such a crock of shit.
They could have. I think. I mean, just given the way Tokar and Razor look, I feel like they could have done it, and it just wouldn't. I don't think it would have translated. I think they saved us by not doing it.
I didn't see the last one, Out of the Shadows. Apparently they're in that one.
They're in that, and I have to admit, I mean, it's a Turtles movie. I'm gonna watch it, right? With that being said, I did watch the new Turtles movie that came out with
Newest one,
Bebop. Yeah, newest. Came out like 2 years ago, I think.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Bebop and Rocksteady are in it. The actors who play them prior to the mutagen, awesome. One of them is a wrestler, Seamus, I think his name is. They do a great job, visually stunning. I'm not saying that the Michael Bay movies are good in any way, but Bebop and Rocksteady, even down to like the 80s sunglasses that
they get it that
are
much?
awesome.
Oh, I may have to check it. Maybe
But so in that way, I think Tokar and Razor kind of did save us from like having to see like it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And
That's
the way
true,
that everything was so rubbery in this, they could have done a good job. They probably wouldn't have though. That's what I'm trying to say.
And also, a lot of the, and as I said before, a lot of the ninjas in the background are just like, what are you doing?
Literally,
They're
like
useless.
standing there doing nothing.
And the stormtroopers look badass compared to these guys.
You'll notice, I mean, that's a trick that I've seen done in other films that, like, even the last Star Wars movie that came out, when you see Rey and Kylo Ren fighting, you'll notice that the red dudes in the background are kind of just swinging their weapons around for no reason.
Really?
So it's still used. It's still pointed out by people watching films. People still don't like seeing it. It happens. I understand why it happens. You have an action scene going on. You got your main focus, and you still want everything around to look like it's moving around. You know, I get it. Doesn't mean I like it, and it does. I'll always pick on it every time I see it.
Yeah. So I think we should. Did you have any legitimate complaints with part 2? Like things you want to bring up?
Well, okay. So it's funny as I'm looking at my notes, right? We'll finish up part 2, and then I want to just do like overall things that we notice in both that are going to be fun.
Okay.
I have a friend who says there is a serious lack of martial arts in the second film. Now, this is kind of true, kind of not true. Like I said, when they throw kicks, the kicks land. When they do certain stuff, it works.
But it is more slapsticky.
But it's way more slapsticky. Every punch is almost followed by a one-liner.
Yeah.
So you get this more like the cartoon, which is what
pretty much
fans, I guess, were crying for at the time.
I probably was, yeah.
That's my gripe. But the film is there. I mean, I can't do anything to change it. Vanilla Ice will always be in it. Thank God. And it's always gonna have a special place in my heart, regardless of like any of the flaws with it anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you have some things you want to add about both films as we're starting to wrap up here?
Well, yeah. Let's do our rating on 2. And then maybe just bring up some of the really funny things that we both noticed from both films. That won't happen today.
I would give this movie a 7.1. It's stupid. It's fun. As I said, it's just below the barely.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I think it's still a ton of fun.
Going at it again like I did with the first one, pretending that maybe I'd never seen this movie before and trying to like keep all that nostalgia aside.
Yeah, be critical.
If this was my first time watching this film, I would have to give it. I gave Turtles 1 a 6. I'm gonna give this one a 5.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna be really harsh just because like it's hard to think like we're going back 25,
91.
almost 30 years on these films, right? So you know. Watching it today, you're gonna be like, "What the heck is that? What are these lines around it? You can see the suits." But they're both great films. Both great films. I was at the right age at the right time when they came out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, solid 5, 6 on the first one. But that's if you're a first-time watcher. My heart says 8 on the first one, and probably like a 6 on the second.
Okay.
But all right, those are my ratings.
All right. So now, what have you noticed about it, or both of them?
So, the animatronics, like I said, those were good. Some of the jokes in both of these films, in the beginning line, or the beginning scenes of the second one, right? Keno's a pizza delivery kid with
yeah.
a really cool like scooter that he puts the pizza on the back, and he's got these group of girls, and he's like, "Hey, who's gonna be the lucky girl who's gonna ride with me tonight?" And they're all like, "Nah, we don't want to, right?"
You know, your dream on, dweeb.
Oh yeah, in your dreams, one of them says. He's like, "If this was my dream, you'd be a little lighter, a little less fat,
a little thinner."
Yeah.
So away,
fat shaming within the first 5 minutes of this movie. Casey Jones
in the
first one, it's mentioned that he might be claustrophobic.
Oh God!
And Casey Jones, in his infinite wisdom and grip with the English language, then says, "I never looked at a guy before in my life."
And we're all just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. These films were made in the 90s.
Jesus, like wow.
It was a different time.
I guess so.
Things weren't as
PC.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was just like, wow.
It was like, to find that stuff, you're like, it brings you back to like, right, this is like a late 80s, early 90s
I could see parents getting upset with that. I mean, I remember seeing the film, I had no idea what they were talking about, of course. I was like,
well, like, we brought up Goonies, which, totally off subject, but it is an 80s film. Let's just bring that up for 2 seconds. That movie has so much adult humor in it. And I mean, it's ridiculous the stuff they get away with in this film.
Slip with the tongue!
But it's a classic. It's a classic, and that's the thing. These films came out in a time when we were doing things differently back then. Mm-hmm. We weren't as politically correct. I'm not going to say it was better. I'm not going to say it was worse. I'm just going to say it was the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And this is how films were made. Other things between the two of them that I noticed, excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold, so voice is a little raspy. I love the darkness in the first one. I love the fact that they ended the film with a death. I thought that was like super, even as a kid, it was like, it had some gravity to it. You're oh man, like, wow, they straight up killed the Shredder. What are they gonna do? The juxtaposition between the darkness of the first film and just the immediate notice of color in the second one.
Oh yeah.
If you're watching these back to back, it's like you're getting two different eras of the Turtles.
Oh yeah, totally.
You're getting
the comic book, because the first one was more based on the original comic book, which I read the first issue.
If you've ever read the first issue, it's almost a storyboard. It's a small storyboard, basically.
Yeah.
For the first film.
I mean, you know, characters
minus
aren't there.
certain things.
Yeah,
April O'Neil's not in it. Casey Jones. It does focus specifically on Splinter, Shredder, and the Turtles, and their origin story.
Yeah.
The origin story that they tell in the movie is pretty much line for line in this comic book, frame for frame in this comic book. And like I said, again, the story. Spoiler alert, in the comic book, Shredder dies at the end too, the same way. He falls off a roof after fighting the Turtles. Splinter actually overtakes him, I believe. He falls into a garbage truck, and they crush him with the
I think
the
so.
thing.
I just read it this morning.
Let's take a look here.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure on the legalities of looking at a comic book,
right,
or showing frames from a comic book.
We do not own this property.
Yeah.
We
so,
make no money from it.
Yeah, I mean, he is falling. He lands.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, he just falls off the roof. Oh, okay.
He falls off the roof and he disappears.
Okay,
so
all
right, I'm a little wrong. Maybe in my head.
Ambiguous.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But if we were gonna rate these two together, if there was like an ability to make these two films one after the other, what would you give it?
I couldn't do that. Like, they're so different. It'd be like watching one half of a film and then it just switches and becomes a completely different film. It's just like what?
On a nostalgia level, Star Wars being the most nostalgic, and Swamp Thing being the least nostalgic, where would you place the Turtles? Superman movie? Batman movie?
I can't possibly.
Alright.
I can't. Maybe a 6.5, 6.7 maybe. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I have to view them as separate.
Both of these films together, yeah. Vanilla Ice, Super Shredder. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about
you. You love the Super Shredder.
Because you got Vanilla Ice. 5 minutes later, you got Super Shredder. So it's like that's the film in a nutshell. It's like 1 minute you're getting super cheese, and the next minute you're getting like something that looks super awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So.
All right. Do you have anything else to add? I think we got to wrap this up now.
Leo, Use your swords.
Yes.
You don't have to chop people up.
The scene.
They're ropes. Cut them.
You'll know the scene when you see it. Be like, oh my god, it's terrible. Although Splinter does have a good save where he uses his bow in there. That's probably the only reason that was in there. Was to give Splinter a hero
Splinter,
moment.
yeah, he had to have that
But,
moment
yeah,
where he
it's pretty
plays the
dumb.
pops, he gets the kids out of trouble, and then he disappears.
But all right, just about wraps things up. Zol, I just learned his name.
Zolar System, Mr.
Zolar
System, if
System.
you're being formal.
Now, do you have a YouTube page that you want to plug?
Not
Nothing?
right
Nothing?
now, but
Any artwork?
maybe in
anything?
the future. No,
All right, nothing right now.
We're gonna. All my projects are under wraps at the moment.
Okay.
But they will
Super
be
secret.
out.
All right, I guess that just about wraps it up. I'm Mr. TH66, Zolar System. Thank you for joining me. And we'll be back. We'll be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 at some point. That's
Yeah.
going to have to be a whole video. Because
Whole video
we're
on
going to
that.
have to rant and rave about
That one's
that
gonna
one.
get ripped apart.
Oh, God. Anyway,
Viciously.
this is Mr. TH66, and I will see you next time.
Peace.